This is David with the Paranormal Sessions podcast. A lot has happened these last roughly 10 days. So I'll go back to the beginning. So, as everyone's aware, every night I'm ready to go to bed, I close my eyes and connect to the other side to see if there's, whatever evil's around, trying to, eventually going to come at me or whatever. So that night was totally different. I connect to the other side for a second, and then all of a sudden I see this huge wall in front of me. And it goes from, the carpeting all the way to the ceiling, so I can't see, my two aquariums. The whole wall is just like, just a gigantic gray, kind of a blackish gray wall. So I see these faces of, evil spirits, which I've seen so many, that's not really any big deal. Well, as I'm looking more towards the wall to see what else is there, I start seeing all these symbols, which I assume they're some kind of satanic symbols. That's the only thing I can think of. I didn't recognize them, and I'm glad. I didn't know what they meant, but I'm sure they weren't good symbols. They were something that had to do with evil. So I keep on, slowly looking down the wall, because from what's showing me, it's probably maybe 20 some feet across, and then just up to the ceiling. So I'm slowly just kind of going down the wall to see what's there, because I've never seen anything like that before. So right when I get near the end of the blackish gray wall, I see some more evil spirits, which, okay, I expected that. But the strange part is I'm looking at a couple of them, all of a sudden their face starts to kind of like peel away, and I see like their face, but they're like skulls and things, and they're all malformed and things. And so I realize, that, and I've thought about this in the past, I don't know if I ever mentioned it, when I see the evil spirits, I know that's not their real face. Maybe that's how they were when, before, they passed on to evil. But I actually start seeing parts of like their scalp and things of that nature. And I saw that on about 2 or 3 people. And I started thinking afterwards, after I saw this whole thing, because that vision lasted probably maybe 25 seconds, for me to go from left all the way down to the right. And when I saw, those where the skin was coming off, and I could see their skulls and things, how they actually are, and I might be wrong, but my impression is when I start seeing their skulls and their how hideous they actually look, instead of just having their, like a human face, I think that's how they look in hell. I could be wrong, but I was thinking, why am I seeing this, or allowing to be seen, these people with their skin kind of like peeling away, and then it shows how hideous they really are. So I think I saw them how they show themselves in hell, but of course I wasn't in hell, I just saw the wall. But I assume they did that to scare me, I guess, or whatever. But it was strange, because there was a couple of them near the very end of the wall, and all of a sudden their skin just starts coming off, and then I see, like these hideous faces and things, and the first thing I thought, I go, that's got to be how they are in hell or whatever. That's the only thing I can think of. So that stuck with me with a few days. So I figure, if I'm seeing all this huge wall, I see, pieces of their flesh coming off, I go, something else is coming down the road. This can't be just the whole thing. So that was 10 days ago, and around 4 days ago, and as most people are aware, if there's anything evil in the room moving, I'm going to wake up, because I have that connection with them. So I wake up, and it's got to be around 5 a.m., and there's just a little bit of light coming through the curtain, between the curtain and the wall. And I kind of turned to my right, and there's this old woman that's probably maybe, I'd say, at most 2 feet from me. And I'm just kind of like startled because, I mean, normally they don't get that close to me. So she's got this real frizzy gray hair. She looks like she's probably 70 or whatever, 60 to 70. And she's got like kind of like a blouse on, and she's got like pants on. And the weird part is when I wake up, from the connection, normally they're going to immediately look at me because they now know that I can see them. Well, this doesn't happen. She's looking at an angle, like let's say we're switching positions. She's looking at someone in the corner, and as she's looking at him, she's trying to, I guess, understand what. And I don't know if it was a demon in the corner of the room. I don't think it was. I think it was a powerful evil spirit, and I think he was trying to get her to tell or try to explain to her what he wants her to try to do to me. That's the only thing I think of. Because every time I made a connection in my bedroom, they immediately know that I could see them. But she was so fixated on this evil spirit. She's just sitting there looking at, and you could tell that look like, I have no idea what you're trying to tell me. And she looked at him probably for a total of maybe 10 or 12 seconds. Now, she could have been looking at him longer, but until when she finally showed up in the room, and then I woke up. But she didn't even look at me the whole time. And I guess he probably told her, I can't get you to understand. So they severed the connection. So she disappeared, and I didn't bother to look in the corner. But I figured it was some evil. I go, what's the point? I mean, I already know that there's something evil in the corner, and they're trying to get this old woman to try to do something to me. That's the only thing that makes sense. Because she sat on the edge of my bed, and she's just looking, at that angle. And I thought for sure she was going to, notice that I can see her and I had the connection with her. And so the more I thought about it, I go, I wonder if she just recently passed and she's now being taught whatever they do in hell or whatever. Because everyone I've ever had that happen to, they go ahead and they'll know that I'm looking at them, and then they kind of panic because for some reason, I guess they don't all know that I can see them. But she was so fixated on that evil spirit that I guess he was trying to educate her or whatever. I mean, that's the only thing that can make sense to me. So I figure, okay, that's probably the whole thing that's going to happen for the rest of the week. Well, of course it didn't. So last night, I wake up, and it's around 3:30 in the morning, and I see this little red light, and I see this man. I didn't see his face all that clearly, but he had blonde hair, and he's trying to, and I thought he was trying to do something with the light. And and I just woke up, so I'm a little groggy. I finally realized that little red light was one of the aquarium lights, because I got 2 aquariums, and this is the closest one to the closet. So he was somehow trying to get power through the glass, I guess. I mean, I don't know exactly how they, collect their power and all that, but they go through all the energy sources. But I could see him trying to move his hands and all that, and I thought, what's this little red light? And then it dawned on me that that's the little red light that shows from the thermometer in the aquarium. But he messed around with it for, I don't know, 10, 15 seconds, and he's moving his hands and all that. And then he kind of leaned forward, and that's when I saw his face. But I guess he was trying to figure out, how can I get that power from that little thermometer, which doesn't put out much energy at all. I mean, it only heats a small aquarium, so it's not like, you know, like where you plug in your TV or something like that. It has a lot more juice. You know, this one just heats up these small aquariums. So evidently he must have been new too or something, because he didn't quite grasp, but he could be there for probably hours and get just a tiny bit of energy, because that's all those thermometers put out. But that was the last thing that happened. But that wall that I saw, I mean, that kind of startled me, because I could see it. You know, I'm sure they just cut it for the length of my bedroom, where it could have gone, you know, 10 miles in length or whatever. But it was interesting that I could see these symbols in it, and I kind of looked at them, and of course it's not like there's a bright light behind me and I can see everything. I could see it, but it wasn't all that clear, but I could see some symbols. But I thought, well, you know, I don't want to even know what they are, but I'm sure it's not good. But those were near the bottom of the wall, and then seeing the skin come off some of these evil spirits, and that's got to be how they look when they're in hell. That's the only thing I can think of. Because it wasn't like they were fighting or something. They were sick. They were just like there, and then all of a sudden their skin came off. So it was a pretty creepy 10 days roughly. And I thought about doing a video right after the wall, but I thought I don't want to do a video and do another like 1 minute, then another 2 minute. You know, I think that's taking up a lot of your time. I'd rather do one, you know, do one longer video, unless it's just something, you know, relatively minor, and then I don't see anything else, then I'll go ahead and do a video. But I don't want to waste your time, so that's why I figured after I saw that gigantic wall, something else was going to happen. It wasn't going to be like that's the end of it. So I was right about that. But you know, it was informative, to say the least, with that gigantic wall, and then seeing how the evil spirits actually show, at least in my opinion, how they show like in hell. And I appreciate everyone watching. Thanks.